Real quick before the video starts, I have a new channel based around green text stories on 4chan, and I'll be uploading videos daily over there. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Peckerton Detective in the Entitled People subreddit. The post is titled, "Stepdaughter's Entitled Boyfriend Lands Them Homeless, Carless, and Adrift." I call my stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend Wreck-It Ralph. No relation to the trademark cartoon, just coincidental naming. He has a tendency to break, ruin, or tear up everything he touches. My stepdaughter, who is actually a sweet and endearing young woman whom I love dearly, has, like many young women with self-esteem issues, allowed herself to be led astray by Wreck-It Ralph. In the year they have been together, she has lost nearly everything, but at 23, she is old enough to learn her lessons without us parents constantly rescuing her, until she gets rid of Wreck-It Ralph and gets back on track. We are keeping our distance. When they first got together, they lived with her father and me for a few months. It quickly became apparent that Wreck-It Ralph had a chip on his shoulder when it came to me. He would carry tales to my husband, trying to stir up arguments, even though my husband repeatedly told him that this was my house and everything in it was mine. Despite this, Wreck-It Ralph would consistently ask my husband, not me, if he could have this or that. And that was only when he bothered to ask at all. He also kept bringing in more animals, despite us telling him no more. Neither of them took care of the pets they already had. They did not buy dog food, or cat litter. It was my husband and I who ended up paying for all of that. They never cleaned up the messes, nor did they train the animals, allowing them to tear up our belongings. Marijuana is legal in our state, and there is a dispensary in our town. The only work the two of them would do was food delivery, my stepdaughter's job with daily payout, just enough to get money for Wreck-It Ralph to buy something from the dispensary each day, along with eating fast food. His attitude toward me was especially blatant one evening when they returned home. They walked in the back door and he loudly called out to my husband, "We brought you your favorite soda," completely ignoring me as if I were invisible. Another time, my stepdaughter asked if she could use my debit card to buy the four of us cold drinks from the convenience store on a hot day, while my husband and I were unloading from a truck and trailer in the backyard. I said yes. Later, when I checked my account, I discovered they spent $20 on food for Wreck-It Ralph without asking. The situation came to an end when I told them they had to replace the bedroom door their dog had chewed through at the bottom, and I refused to allow them to bring home a pit bull mix they wanted to rescue, a dog that already had a known bite history. That was the final straw, and they moved into my stepdaughter's mother's home. During their time there, my stepdaughter kept getting traffic tickets while driving a car registered only in my husband's name. They were not paying insurance even though I had personally purchased my stepdaughter her own policy and paid the startup costs when they lived with us. They also failed to renew the plates. As a result, her license was suspended and it cost my husband and me $600 to get the plates unsuspended. Again, a car in his name only. On top of that, they had damaged the car, requiring more repairs, so my husband took it away from them. Before her license was suspended, but after the police had already removed the plates, my husband let her borrow his truck, which was covered under my insurance. Wreck-It Ralph, who has no license, drove it and blew the motor. The truck is now unusable. I told my husband I would put the car under my insurance for him, but only if he drove it. If he gave it back to them, I was canceling the insurance, and I have stood by that. Nevertheless, Wreck-It Ralph called daily, demanding that my husband return the car once it was repaired and legal again. After 3 weeks of this, my husband finally told him, "Look, you dumbass, I do not know what it is that you think you are trying to accomplish here, but you are not demanding anything from me and you are not getting the car back. I may have originally bought it for her before she got with you, but it is my car in my name and I'm keeping it in place of the truck you ruined. Do not call me again about the car. Got it?" We had been hearing about ongoing disputes between my husband's ex-wife and Wreck-It Ralph. Things got so bad that he actually told her to pack her things and get the hell out of her own home. Another time, he told her to shut the hell up and remember who she is talking to. At that point, we all decided it was time to let our daughter hit rock bottom since she wasn't seeing how Wreck-It Ralph had dragged her down from being a sweet, lovable, well-liked, and responsible girl in a college nursing program to becoming someone with a criminal history and no prospects at the moment. My husband's ex-wife eventually moved in with her boyfriend. She shut off the power at the home she had been renting and even told her landlord, who also happened to be a longtime friend, that she would not allow this situation to ruin their friendship if he chose to evict them for squatting, since neither she nor Wreck-It Ralph was ever on the lease to begin with. When my stepdaughter called wanting to return home, my husband told her she could, but Wreck-It Ralph could not. Now, they are staying at a homeless shelter in the town where his mother lives, but even she will not let them live with her. We hate to see my stepdaughter go through this, but this entitled Wreck-It Ralph, the man she refuses to let go of, has truly dragged her down, and she deserves so much better. This man once told us that he could not work at a factory he had interviewed at because it was climate controlled and his heart condition would not allow that. When we tried to explain what climate controlled actually means, he argued with us, insisting that it meant controlled by the climate. So it would be hot in the summer and cold in the winter. We have not seen him hold a job or do anything productive since they have been together. All he does is demand from and take advantage of the people who love the young woman he has latched onto. Update. My stepdaughter recently had court in a town 30 miles west of us. She and Wreck-It Ralph are staying just across the state line in a small city 30 miles east of us. So my husband and I devised a plan to get her alone without him. We told her the only car running was the 2-seat convertible, so we could only take her for her court appearance. My husband picked her up and then I took her to the courthouse since my husband had to stay home for something. On the way, she started talking about how she wanted to break up with Wreck-It Ralph, but was afraid of the pain that comes with it. She said she hated how controlling and dishonest he was, but felt he truly loved her, and she was unsure if his negative behavior was simply due to their stressful circumstances. She mentioned that once he got SR22 insurance and his license back, he would be able to work and things would improve. I pulled over, took out my phone, and went to the county court records website for the county north of us where Wreck-It Ralph used to live. I pulled up 6 cases in his name, 3 of them related to driving, each with multiple citations. The most recent case was that he had been speeding, ran a stop sign, hit a woman, fled the scene, had a suspended license and registration, and no insurance. He was later arrested and had to post bond. In that case, he was fined $4,000. On top of that, we had received a letter delivered to our house from the state stating he owed $11,000 in restitution to the woman for damages. The letter also stated that his license was permanently suspended until he paid restitution, covered all court-imposed fines, paid the state reinstatement fee, and provided proof of SR22 coverage within 48 hours of the suspension being lifted. My stepdaughter was deflated and angry. She said that she and Wreck-It Ralph had talked about this at length, yet he never told her the whole story, only that he needed SR22 because he had been caught driving without insurance and had to have it in order to get his license back. As someone who once held an insurance license myself, I explained to her that this was not possible. In our state at least, you cannot get insurance if your license is suspended or revoked. He would need to get his license valid first, and only then could he get insurance with SR22 reporting attached. She herself had ended up on probation for her own driving issues that were linked to him. She received a 6-month suspension and $750 in fines, which was honestly a lucky break given the circumstances. She too will need SR22 coverage once her suspension ends. Afterward, while I stopped at the store for groceries for supper, Wreck-It Ralph kept calling and demanding that she return. Even though we had planned to eat supper with her that evening, she eventually gave in to his relentless calls and asked her dad to take her back before I could even cook. For those who asked previously, I did verify that she has an IUD. She was very unhappy with her situation and is beginning to see him for what he truly is. In the year they have been together, he has dragged her down. She is not quite at the point of leaving him, but hopefully, with time, she will realize that she deserves better and call to come home soon. She knows she has a place here with us, but he does not. Update 2. It has been a while since I first posted about my stepdaughter and her entitled boyfriend, and I've had requests for updates. Well, here you go. First of all, I think you all probably know what developed immediately after I posted. Most of you and I had already guessed it. She was actually pregnant when I made that original post. She kept it quiet until she was visibly showing, which gave her father and me about 3 months to prepare for our granddaughter. She is a beautiful little girl with eyes and a smile that light up every room. She is not quite a year old now. Tragically, my husband was killed unexpectedly when the baby was only 6 weeks old. My stepdaughter and I witnessed it, much to our horror. It has been a devastating and emotional time since then. This may surprise many of you, but my stepdaughter, the baby, and Wreck-It Ralph all still live with me. And guess what? Both of them now have jobs. He is actually a surprisingly good father. He is still more possessive of the 2 girls than I care for, but he also knows he will never have the same pull and manipulation over me through my stepdaughter that he once tried with her mother and my husband. He knows his limits. Neither of them has a driver's license, and I do not routinely act as their taxi service, but I will give them a ride to or from work on occasion. I let them know I am proud of both of them and that I want to see them succeed. And just as a clarification, I have only used the word step in these posts for clarity's sake. In real life, neither my husband nor I ever use the word step when referring to our children or grandchildren. His kids are mine just as mine were his, and that will never change. I will always love and be there for my stepdaughter and granddaughter as their parent. Even Wreck-It Ralph learned that I had his back during an incident when I knew he was wrongly being blamed for something he did not do. When my husband was killed, as my stepdaughter and I sat stunned in the emergency room with his body, Wreck-It Ralph was the very first family member through the door. He was still in his work uniform, having come straight from his job. He fell to his knees in genuine tears and pulled us both into a tearful group hug as we all cried together. I give credit where credit is due. So here is our update, bittersweet, unexpected, and certainly not the way I, or probably most of you, would have imagined things turning out. Even someone like the entitled Wreck-It Ralph can, it seems, begin to turn things around and start resembling a normal, productive, and responsible person again. It is not perfect, but no one's life is. For them, it is a damn good start in the right direction, and for me, I am grateful to still have them in my life. These last months would have been far worse without them. Railroad Baron said, "When she said her husband was killed in front of her and her daughter, I assumed Ralph was the one who did it. It is crazy what young people with so much potential will do to themselves." Dead Letters Society said, "Big yikes on this one, definitely entitled and ridiculously demanding. At least the update has a bit of happiness to it, but I am honestly surprised that the guy is still around." This next story was made in the AITA subreddit by a user named Missed Birth. The post is titled, "I didn't defend my Bill for missing the birth of his daughter, even though I missed the birth of mine. So my wife, a 31-year-old woman, and I, a 29-year-old man, have 2 children, our older son and our younger daughter. My brother-in-law Josh, a 26-year-old man, has just had a baby girl with his partner Brad. On the day my daughter was born 2 years ago, I was with my other brother-in-law Dan, who is also 29, when he was hit by a car. Understandably, he was in bad shape, so I called an ambulance and his parents. His parents informed me that my wife was in labor at the same time. My wife told me over the phone to go with Dan to the hospital and assured me she would be fine. She was more worried about Dan than herself. We ended up at different hospitals. My wife was at the local hospital, while Dan and I were at a larger hospital in the city. This meant I missed my daughter's birth as I stayed with Dan so he would not be alone and so I could keep everyone updated. Dan made a full recovery after physiotherapy and my daughter was born without complications. I met her when she was a few hours old. Now Josh and Brad were expecting their baby in late August. However, Josh had a vacation with friends booked for July. It was within the country and within COVID restrictions. Brad asked him not to go so close to the baby's due date, and I also advised him against it, but Josh chose to go anyway, believing there was enough time. Clearly, there was not. Brad went into labor while Josh was gone, and their daughter was born without him there. Like in my case, it was a few hours before he could meet his child. The entire family is furious with him because we all warned him not to take that trip. Josh then asked for my support, saying he thought I would understand. I told him the situations were completely different. My absence had not been a choice, and more importantly, I had my wife's blessing. He, on the other hand, decided to risk being away. Apparently, he and his friends now believe that we, especially me since I should get it, are jerks for not defending him, because in their eyes, he did not choose to miss the birth. Their daughter was simply premature. But I think Josh is entirely at fault here, because there is a huge difference between the reasons I could not be present versus the reasons he was not there. I honestly do not understand his logic, so I am asking for some perspective. Am I the one in the wrong? Edit 1. I left this out at first to avoid off-topic questions or transphobic comments, but Josh's partner Brad is a trans man, not a wife or girlfriend. Edit 2. Since I keep getting asked, the baby was about 5 to 6 weeks early. Edit 3. Wow, this made it to Twitter. People there are getting confused, so just to clarify, my wife has 2 brothers, Dan and Josh. They are siblings, not in a relationship. Josh's partner was unnamed at first because I was trying to avoid unnecessary focus on gender. Edit 4. Final edit, I went back and named Josh's partner Brad to clear up confusion. Update. Well, I was not expecting the response to my last post. I thought some of you might like an update, and a couple of people on Twitter requested it. It is a happy ending. You will be glad to hear. I did send Josh the post, and he admitted that he had messed up. Brad told me that Josh has truly repented. Their baby girl is now 4 weeks old, and Josh has been on night duty since she was 1 week old. He apologized to Brad for not being there for him and to me for dragging me into it. Both of us forgave him, and it seems everything will be alright. Their daughter is a happy, healthy little girl, and a very vocal one at that. She is apparently a big fan of yelling at her dads and refusing to sleep, so Josh is certainly receiving his karma. Unfortunately, she has not yet met her cousins or most of the family because of COVID, but we receive plenty of video calls and photos. Brad also read the post and thanked everyone for their congratulations and support. He is recovering well at home, almost ready to start binding again, and slowly returning to his hormone replacement therapy. I am sure some of you will be disappointed to hear that Josh has been forgiven, but that is just the way it goes. My niece will grow up in a happy family with 2 dads who love her, and hopefully, Josh will never make such a foolish mistake again. 2006 Bruin said, "These 2 scenarios in absolutely no way compare." To this comment, Turuyal said, "Yeah, I agree. It is pretty clear that OP's brother-in-law was grasping at any straws he thought might help him sell people on that false equivalency. That being said, it was somewhat refreshing to read one of these stories where the person in question recognized their fault almost immediately. That is pretty rare." Third Dragonite said, "Even if the birth had not happened so soon, Josh leaving his pregnant partner, who was in the 3rd trimester I might add, alone to go on a vacation during July of 2020 is absolutely insane. What the hell, man?" Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.